Hi and welcome to the Running Channel. I'm Anna and today I am joined by running journalist Nick Harris-Fry, who in his time has tested hundreds of pairs of running shoes. Nick's a 2:33 marathoner and has all of the knowledge that we want to grab off him about running shoes. So we're going to be going through a few of the best running shoes out there today. While you're here, please do subscribe to the Running Channel and tap the bell icon. It really helps us carry on making these videos all about running, which we do every single week. Okay, so Nick, we're going to start off with some all-rounders. So these are the kind of shoe that you can get that are pretty much going to be good for anything you want to do.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So most people probably don't necessarily want 3 shoes in rotation like a lot of serious runners will get into. But so they just get 1 shoe for everything, and these are kind of the best out there at the moment for that.
Well, so if we start at this top end here, these are the Nike Turbo,
Nike Pegasus Turbo 2.
Turbo 2.
Yeah, so this is a reasonably new line of shoes. They launched the first one last year, and it's kind of an extension to the Pegasus line, which is a very popular shoe that's been around for about 3.5 decades. So the Peg Turbo has 2 kinds of foam in it, so it's a bit softer than the standard Pegasus, a bit lighter, a bit bouncier. It's just a great shoe. Like, you can do anything in this. Like, I've taken these for easy runs, raced in them, done any kind of session in them, and if you like, for example, whenever I go travelling, it's the only shoe I take, basically.
Brilliant. And then moving on to the Hokas.
Hoka, yeah, Hoka Rincon.
Yes.
So
really light.
Yeah, it's really light. That's the thing with all Hokas. They're all surprisingly light for how ridiculous amount of cushioning is on them.
Yeah.
So they actually might feel a little bit firmer than you'd think looking at that, but they're still quite a cushioned shoe. They're still quite soft, so you can do easy runs in them. But they're fast enough to go for if you want to go to parkrun and use them, they'd be fine for that. You can use them for longer races. Again, they're kind of good for everything. They're a bit firmer than the Nike, despite appearances. But if you want that kind of maximal cushioning, Hokas are very popular for that.
I guess important to note appearances wise as well, this is the men's one and this is the women's
exactly.
version of the shoe. And then the final one that we've got in the all-rounders is the On, and this is the new Cloud Flow. So another good shoe for an all-rounder.
Yeah, so the On Cloud Flow's been a great all-rounder shoe for a long time. They've actually changed the foam in this newest one to be the Helion foam, which is a bit softer, which is great for those who take it for easy runs. But it's still quite a firm shoe. I think if you like kind of quite firm, you want to feel the ground under your foot in your all-rounder, that's a better pick than these two, which are a bit more cushioned. And it's a bit faster, I think, as a result. And I think it's a really good shoe that's especially skews slightly more towards racing maybe than the others. Yeah,
I've been running in this one lately actually and completely agree with all that you've said. So next up we've got some colour being injected into these. These are the best shoes around for racing.
Yeah, racing shoes tend to be a bit more colourful in general than all-rounder shoes. People want that kind of on race day to feel a bit special. So these are kind of different types of racing shoes that you can get at the moment. Starting with the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel. So this could be used as an all-rounder as well, and I think the ones we showed before are kind of trainers that you could race in, whereas this is a pretty good racing shoe that you can also train in if you're quite a light runner who doesn't want a load of cushioning all the time. It's got this fuel cell foam in the midsole, which is very bouncy, very soft, so you could use it for long runs. It's really good for, I think, longer distance races, but you could use it for short stuff as well. And it has this flange, which I think is for stability, but it's a flange. No one really knows what that's for.
It's an interesting design. And with the girls' version of those that I've been running in recently, I have found that they came up a little bit small as well.
Yeah, and same with the men's. I think a full size up of these you need to go. I think generally running shoes you should probably size up, and racing shoes in particular, but a full size up for these is a bit more than I'd normally do. They just come up really small.
Yeah, they're a snug fit, those ones. And then the Saucony, so we've got the Type A9.
A9, yeah.
Yes, jazzy.
Very jazzy. This is like an old school racer. So nowadays on races, you'll see a lot of people wearing things like the Vaporfly, but in the past, like light runners really going for a fast time would wear something like this. It's a racing flat, it's incredibly lightweight. It's not really got much of a drop from heel to toe to try and promote kind of, the idea is to promote a natural running style.
Yeah.
And it's firm, it's a firm shoe, responsive. Like, you wouldn't want to go out and run like your easy run in these. You'd take it to the track and you'd use it for your 5Ks, kind of 10K races. Some runners would take it all the way to a marathon. I probably wouldn't. I think it's not really cushioned enough, but it's a great, like, fast racing shoe built for that purpose.
Yeah. Parkrun PB shoe.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we can't do racing shoes without mentioning these bad boys.
Yeah.
So these are everywhere at the moment.
They're everywhere. Every race, you've got pink and green shoes everywhere. You see, I've used them a lot. That's why they're so dirty.
Yes.
They're pretty phenomenal. They've got the carbon plate in the midsole, combined with Nike's Zoom X foam, which is really light, really soft and bouncy. So you kind of get the stability and the cushioning from that foam, combined with the carbon plate, means that for a marathon it's the perfect combination.
Yeah.
Even a half. I mean, I use them for 5Ks, 10Ks even. Just they're so light, you can see how thin the upper is.
Yeah.
I think next year Nike might have a lot more competition on the carbon shoe front, but right now it's pretty clearly the best marathon shoe out there if you purely want your time. But it is expensive, and
yeah. I mean, you're looking at double the price from the Sauconys to the Nikes.
It's huge. They're really, really expensive, and they are brilliant shoes. But again, like if you're just a casual runner, you want one shoe. This isn't the shoe to get. You want like an all-rounder shoe. This is a very specialist racing shoe. And it might not last more than a few hundred miles.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next shoes that we're going to look at are stability shoes, and we've got the ASICS representing here.
Yeah, so it's the Gel Kayano 26. So if you go to a running store and you get your gait analysed, then what they're looking for is to see how much your foot kind of rolls in on landing, and if you overpronate, which means you roll too far, you'll often be suggested to get a stability shoe like this, which just has a little bit of support to guide your foot through in a kind of neutral position. Of these, the stability shoes, my favourite is the ASICS Gel Kayano 26. That's the 26th edition of the shoe, so it's very popular. It's been around for a long time. It's got it looks like a bit of a chunky monster, but it's actually reasonably lightweight. It's nice and reasonably responsive. It runs a lot lighter than it looks, basically, is what I'd describe it as. So you could use this for racing. You can't use it for everything.
Yeah.
It's not got really aggressive stability features, so it's not going to like hurt or feel weird when you're running. It's just gently guiding you to the right position.
Yeah. And the heel-to-toe drop on these is pretty similar to the other ones that we've been looking at as well.
Yeah, it's around 10 millimeters. So some of the racing shoes will have a lower drop traditionally, and obviously some like the Hoka has quite a low drop there. Brandy has quite low drops generally. I would tend to think that if you find one you like, just stick with that kind of drop. No need to just change it at random. But some people prefer high, some prefer low.
Yeah. Okay, so we've done the stability ones. Now time to look at a couple of cushion shoes. So we'll start off with these Brooks.
Yep, these are the Glycerin 17. I mean, it's all running shoes have cushioning. It's just these are kind of a bit more. They're a bit softer. They're designed to be really comfortable. Maybe if you're a beginner just starting out, what you're thinking about is comfort. You're not like trying to set a 5K PB. And the Brooks Glycerin in particular are absurdly comfortable. It's like stepping into a foot bath, I reckon. It's really plushly padded around here. The cushioning is very soft. You're not going to get necessarily that heel-to-toe spring and propulsion you might get from a racing shoe, but when you land, especially like around the heel area, you're going to be protected from the impact of the ground. So I do think if you're a new runner, you're a heavier runner, you just want a bit extra protection, a bit more soft feel, this is the kind of shoe I'd go for.
I was actually quite surprised picking it up that actually it's not as heavy as I thought it was going to be as well. It's still quite light.
Yeah, I mean, there used to be really heavy shoes, running shoes, when they were kind of this cushion, but all the new cushioning tech is so great that all these foams are actually still quite light. So it is heavier than the all-rounders and the racing shoe. It's not that heavy. You can still use it for everything. If you were just starting out, there's no reason you can't just go and run a 5K in these. It's just they're a bit more cushioned and designed more for that kind of comfort.
Brill. And then the next ones in this section, we've got the Adidas Ultra Boost 19.
Yeah, so this is the first kind of major update to the original Ultra Boost, which was kind of the first really quite stylish but like boost shoe, and people realised, well, you're spending a lot of money on running shoes, you can walk around town in these as well, it's quite good. But I do think they get a bit derided as a running shoe because of that, and they're actually a really good shoe to run in still. I mean, this boost foam lasts forever, for one, and they've got like really good continental rubber on the outsole for grip, and again, lasts forever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of miles there, and that boost is responsive, so you can run pretty quick in these, despite the they're big, they're heavy, they're comfortable, but you can run pretty fast in those shoes, and then you can walk to Starbucks afterwards if you want to. So it's a nice shoe to have for that purpose, I think, and I do think that's underrated when you're spending £150 on a shoe. That you can only wear it for running, and you only run 3 times a week. Do you want to spend that kind of money? I think there's definitely room for a shoe like this, which is still a very good running shoe.
That's an interesting point you raised there, Nick, because I was always told not to walk in my running shoes and to save them, save the mileage for the running.
I think the only shoe I save is the Vaporfly. Everything else, I won't even go for a race in it, I'll wear other shoes there. But every other
Yes.
shoe I just wear to the office, then go for my run.
Yeah.
I don't think you don't have to worry.
You don't have to worry. There you go. So I've been told fake news. This is good news to know, because otherwise you've got to cart around lots of pairs of trainers.
They're not going to fall apart if you wear them on the tube.
Good.
Probably.
So a lot of the shoes that we've talked about are pretty pricey, and they're going to be a bit of a hefty chunk out of your paycheck, but we are now talking about budget shoes, and if you haven't seen our video on the running channel about testing out the £10 shoes, please do check it out, because these are the Kalenji Run 100s. Yeah. And these are from Decathlon. Nick, what do you think about these budget shoes?
Well, I mean, you're getting change for from a tenner, so that, you can't argue with that. Even Decathlon themselves say don't run them too much. I mean, if you're getting into running and you're not sure you're going to like running, and you're going to go on a treadmill twice a week for 3 to 5k, by all means. I think you're probably not getting the same level of protection. You might get a similar level of protection. There's enough cushioning on there. You're not going to get the durability, and you're not going to get these midsoles. They're massively hyped on running shoes, but they are pretty amazing at the top end. So I'm a full believer in you do get a little bit what you pay for, but there's really no harm in buying these. They're not going to you're not going to break your leg running in them. They're perfectly solid running shoes. I mean, you've run in them.
I have. I actually quite enjoy them. They're quite stiff at points. They aren't as responsive as a lot of the bigger budget shoes, but as you say, you get what you pay for, and for change out of a tenner, and if it means that more people are going to go out and run because it's more accessible to them, then I am all for that.
100%.
So we've talked about budget shoes and that lower end of the spectrum, but when it comes to buying shoes, I guess there are other ways and means in order to be able to save some money, because running shoes are an expense. They are quite a hefty expense for the top end ones. They are the only really thing that we do need as runners to go out and run, but they're expensive. So do you have any tips when it comes to people who perhaps haven't got the money to be sort of throwing around on these top end brands?
Yeah, I think that the number one tip really is that these shoes get updated every year. And sometimes it's a huge sweeping change to the shoe, and sometimes they'll change the colours. And the one that was sold the year before will suddenly be 50 quid cheaper. It comes from, say, it goes from like 100, 120 to 60, 70. And that's happening all the time. So basically shop around. If you have unless you're really set on one shoe, in which case you're gonna have to wait for sales and just keep tracking it. But if you're set on a type of shoe, things like the Nike Pegasus is updated every year. The Ultra Boost is updated reasonably regularly with different colorways. You're going to find deals on them, and I think that's always my tip, because the budget shoes are great, but they might be a false economy. They might not last kind of the same, 500 odds. People will say 500 miles, but people often get 800,000 out of a shoe. Really, that's the way to do it, is wait for things like Black Friday, find maybe the 1-year-old shoe that just has a different colorway, and you'll get it for a lot less. Be my tip.
Yeah, and just touching upon the mileage that you get out of shoes as well, a lot of people often ask us, how do you know when your shoes are done, that it's time for retirement?
So some people it's really obvious. Some people just burst through like they have long toenails or something. Other people don't like it. So my shoes never really visibly degrade. But you can start feeling as if your midsole stops losing that squish, if it starts to feel really hard, that's a bad sign. If your outsole's really worn away, you've lost all the kind of out rubber, that's a sign there's just been a lot of miles on them. Another thing to look out for, if you're starting to feel different on the run, if you're starting to, I've run these shoes for a year and a half, 2 years, but now I'm getting niggles in my knee. One factor could be the shoes, could be many other things, but it's, really it's that, if you start to feel, it just feels different. And they will break in a bit at first. They won't feel like they do out the box. Some shoes feel incredible out the box, some feel really hard and break in, but look out for just that kind of loss of bounce in the midsole. It's a really nebulous thing. Some people will go for shoes, the same shoes in 400 miles, some people will go through them in 1,000. It really sometimes depends on where you're running and your running style.
Absolutely.
And, sorry.
No, not at all. I was just going to say thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge about shoes with us today. We obviously couldn't include all of the shoes that are out there at the moment, so we picked a few there. We could talk for hours about barefoot running, but we're not going to do that on this video because this is purely about shoes. So hopefully you found this video useful. And if you have any questions for Nick, you can leave them in the comments and we'll pass them on as well. If you've got any suggestions for videos that you'd like us to do on the running channel as well, please leave those in the comments too, and we will see you next time.